Good evening, Hatfield. Welcome to the July 9th, 2024 meeting of the Select Board. We are not being streamed live tonight. I assume that's because John was not available. So we are recording the meeting and it will eventually be put online. So just wanted to let people know that. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. In terms of announcements tonight, I just want to start really with the sad acknowledgement of the passing of Judy Zahn. Judy was very well known in the community, very well liked in the community. A lot of people may not realize she had some official roles with Hatfield. So she was on the Board of Health briefly, she was on the Council on Aging briefly, and she was also a school nurse at one point. So, but I think most people know her as just somebody around town at the counter at Fishdale's. Fishdale's is in the room with us tonight. And, you know, she'll really be missed. And so we just wanted to acknowledge Judy's passing.
Yes, Judy was also active in the Ladies Auxiliary for the Legion, and she was a supporter of many organizations. So she will be truly sadly missed.
Absolutely. Anything else? Oh, you wanted to acknowledge the DPW?
Right, for 4th of July, the water break on Main Street, they came out with the help of Carl Excavating and took care of that. So thank you to Phil, Tony, and I believe there was somebody.
Max was there.
Max was there, yes. So
yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out on 4th of July and doing the work.
Very hot,
yeah.
Hot work. Hot. So we're grateful for them. That was a pretty big job. A relatively small part of town that was affected by it, thankfully, but you're right, it's good to acknowledge that. We also will talk about sort of a developing DPW matter a little bit later under unanticipated business. We'll get to that. So nothing else for announcements. I can't think of anything else. Okay, anyone here for public forum? Okay, so we'll move right into the consent agenda, which is the approval of minutes. Oh, wait, you know what? I have to read our public participation policy. Sorry. The Hatfield Select Board welcomes everyone to its meetings and all other public meetings of the town of Hatfield. All regular and special meetings of the boards and committees of the town of Hatfield shall be open to the public and shall conform to the open meeting law. Executive sessions are closed to the public and will be held only as prescribed by the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is important to recognize that the open meeting law affords the opportunity to listen to the proceedings but not necessarily participate. During meetings of the Select Board, an attempt will be made to find a balance between hearing from members of the community and conducting the required business of the Hatfield Select Board. Now we'll move into the minutes.
We have 3 executive session ones, but those have been completed, so we can approve those ones.
Yes, that's what they, yeah, we held them.
Executive session meeting, January 16th, 2024, executive session meeting, June 20th, 2024, and executive session, February 6th, 2024.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
And I'll move to approve Select Board meeting June 20th, 2024 and June 11th, 2024.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So our posted business, our first item of posted business is actually a public hearing that is scheduled for 5:45. So we have to stick to that time. So we may skip ahead and see if we can get a couple other things done. So you probably need more than a few minutes. You want to wait until after the Fishtails hearing because the hearing starts in about 9 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. If you want to do something else, we might. It's just to get approval to submit a letter to ARP, and then there's a resolution also. So I think we could probably do it.
Yeah, then let's,
Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. So you should have in your packet,
can you just introduce yourself?
yeah, sorry. I'm Becky Bash from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. I'm a health and land use planner. I have been helping out with the comprehensive plan and also working with a task force with Jerry at the senior center and a few other folks to make the town age and dementia friendly. And so this was a great process in Hatfield because we incorporated engagement of older adults with a survey and a listening session last spring. And incorporated those comments into the comprehensive plan. The age-friendly designation process, usually you apply for designation and then you go through a community engagement process and develop a community assessment and action plan. In this case, the comprehensive plan can serve as a community assessment. We developed a separate action plan with this subcommittee, which will be an addendum to the comprehensive plan. And so at this point, we're sort of going back and applying for the age-friendly designation. And so that requires an online application and then a letter signed by the chair of the select board. So we're looking for your approval to sign the letter committing to the age-friendly process, which we've already gone through, and to make the town an age-friendly community. So once that age-friendly status is approved, then we'll submit, and once the comprehensive plan is finalized, we'll submit the health chapter of the comprehensive plan and this action plan to AARP as your community assessment and action plan. And then we'll also want to submit for dementia-friendly designation, which will require an additional pledge. So we'll come back to you for that. That process is sort of after the plan's developed, you submit a pledge with the plan to the Mass Council on Aging. So,
And just very briefly for people watching at home, what does this mean?
so we look through, as part of the planning process, we used a model that was developed by the Massachusetts Council on Aging, or the Mass Healthy Aging Collaborative, sorry. Which looks at a number of different sectors of the community, so both the built environment, social environment, employment, public safety. We look at what the town has. We did the survey asking, questions about what folks felt was working in town, what needs to be improved. And so that gets put together in this action plan with some recommendations for moving forward. Some of those recommendations are sort of sprinkled throughout the comprehensive plan. Housing is a big one, housing for older adults, having home health care or having help for people who are aging in place to modify their homes to make them, more accessible and safer.
So what's the community's role? I mean, we don't have like the funds for that, so.
Right, and that's actually one of, that will be coming to you later. One recommendation was to look at developing a home modification grant program through the Community Preservation Act. There's a program in place in Long Meadow, so we use that as a model. So we're bringing that to the planning board first because they asked us to develop it, and then it'll go to you and then to the
Community preservation, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've been working on an application for the
Yeah.
community preservation.
Yeah.
I just want residents to sort of have a sense of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So.
And then, looking at sidewalks and benches for, safe walking. And
Yeah, and I have participated in the committee meetings, and there are a few active residents on that committee.
Great, that's great. Okay, I mean, we only have a couple of minutes. Do you have any?
No, I think it's a great program. I appreciate you bringing it forward to us, and I'm totally in favor of this, supporting your application for you.
So do we need to vote this resolution, Marlene?
Yes, please.
Does it have to be read?
So there's two parts of it. There's the letter that's for the town.
Right.
And then there's a resolution for making it an age-friendly region also. So there's two things.
Yeah, I don't think we have to vote for me to sign the letter.
No, but as long as, the board does support the town making that
Do I need to
commitment.
read the resolution?
Probably would be
For the
helpful.
regional resolution.
So I'm going to do this quickly because we're
Okay,
here.
sure.
To seek membership in the AARP network of age-friendly communities and the Massachusetts network of dementia-friendly communities. Whereas the health and safety of residents of all ages is of the highest concern to the citizens of communities of the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission region and of Hampden and Hampshire counties in the state of Massachusetts. And whereas the U.S. population ages and people stay healthy and active longer, communities must adapt. And whereas the number of people with dementia is increasing at a rapid rate and must be accommodated and supported in our communities through awareness and acceptance. And whereas planning processes, including comprehensive plans, open space and recreation plans, housing production plans, and other local and regional plans should include the needs of all people regardless of age, income, physical ability, race, or other factors of older adults. And whereas community decisions on land use, housing, and transportation should be consistent with plans that have been developed with public input. And whereas membership in the AARP network of age-friendly communities and dementia-friendly Massachusetts network of dementia-friendly communities includes access to technical expertise on the state and regional levels. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in order to ensure that the communities of the PVPC region are well-designed and livable communities that promote health, housing, transportation, and sustainable environments for people of all ages and abilities, the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and the undersigned representatives of its member communities support the continued planning processes that will create more livable communities and request participation in the networks of age and dementia-friendly communities. And it's just, that's to be signed by all of us. So I will take a motion on that. A motion to accept that resolution.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution as read.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So I'm signing this, my colleagues will sign that, and I'm signing the letter. And I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being willing to go over it. There's a lot of paper tonight. I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna keep it all straight. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I will. All right, thank you.
Look at that, 5:45, 30 seconds.
Keeping us on task here. We don't want to keep fishtails waiting. So we are at 5:45. We are scheduled to have a hearing on the transfer of the liquor license from Fitzgerald's of Hatfield Inc. to KF Fishtails Inc. This is the 5 Hill Street property, of course. Our good friend Carrie from Fishtails is here, and Jody. So congratulations on this transfer. I know you've worked hard there for a long time, and this has got to feel pretty good. I'm personally excited for you. So Marlene, it looks like all of the
I have
paperwork is in
reviewed
order.
all the documents. Karen had collected the application, and I reviewed, and everything is in order.
Perfect.
I make a motion to approve the application as presented.
Second that.
Motion made in second. Any further discussion?
Best of luck to you in this endeavor, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. I told you it'd be painful, difficult. Happy to sign this, Carrie.
Okay, here was a second.
Oh, yeah.
Greg
Motion
second.
made in
motion.
second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very excited. We'll be down soon. That's it.
So we'll send that off this week to ABCC, okay?
Thank
All
you.
right, you're welcome.
Are they still taking a while, or has it been a little faster?
Well, actually, it's submitted electronically. Yeah, typically still seeing 4 to 6
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah.
So does that mean they don't have a license in the meantime?
Right, it's still being operated under the existing.
Oh, it can be
license.
operated under the
It is
existing.
until the transfer is completed. Yeah.
Okay, so they are able to serve right now,
Yeah, I mean, on record,
right?
you know, Mr. Fitzgerald is
Right,
still the holder.
right, because his license was in good standing.
Correct. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we already did topic 2. Topic 3, which was going to be a discussion with the School Street Market, has been postponed due to them being out of town.
Mhm.
Topic 4 is Chief Flaherty is asking us to declare some surplus property. So we have a letter from the chief. The Hatfield Fire Department is declaring a Honda gas-powered positive pressure fan as surplus property to the town of Hatfield for sale or disposal as they deem appropriate. So due to limited staffing, we have moved to battery electric powered PPV fans on all 3 engines through apparatus articles or grant funding. So that because the new fans can be deployed by one firefighter, they're better to have at this point. So that's why it's being declared surplus property.
Yeah, that was an additional item, and also in your packet, he's declaring a 1989 Ford
Yeah, right.
8,000 KME fire engine as surplus.
Yes. And that is because it was replaced with the purchase of the new mini pump fire engine.
Mhm.
So those 2 items
So the-
are being deemed surplus.
Right, so the board would vote to declare them surplus for auction, or actually we're going to advertise probably on municipal bid.
Okay.
Put them out on municipal.
I'll make a
bid.
motion to declare the 1989 Ford 8,000 KME fire engine and Honda gas powered positive pressure fan as surplus for sale or disposal.
A motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, next we have Mr. Keys. You're welcome to come up to the seat. There's no microphone tonight, but John is with the Agricultural Advisory Commission, and he wanted to discuss new signage and an old.
Madam Chair, we have
Yes.
under number 4, we have another.
We did that. We included.
There were 2, both of
Yep.
them, yeah.
We included that, yep. So you want to discuss new signage and an old community preservation project?
Yes. It just happened last week, talking with your executive assistant and planning the time frame for this meeting. Didn't know that there was going to be an accident in the town of Northfield
Oh, I saw
where
that.
an SUV plowed into a tractor out on Route 63. And that brings the signage into play because the communities of Berniston, Northfield, Montague, Gill, and our Hampshire County neighbor here, Hadley, have right to farm community signs.
Mhm.
And many of the communities have different types of signage.
Mhm.
And talking with Chris Coffin, the chairman of the Berniston Ag Commission, they picked a sign that they thought was appropriate, although she says it's too small in her taste. It should be a little bit larger. It's 18 by 36. She wanted something a little bit wider. But it has a familiar logo of an old tractor with fields of furrows of brown. It looks good. It says Berniston and Right to Farm Community on the bottom. We have an antique farm tractor in our museum. It's depicted on that same type of scenery that Berniston has. And I was bringing it up to our Ag Commission members. I says, it'll look good here in Hatfield with the iconic water tower from the old General Cigar and Tobacco Shop on Bridge Street, part of our Ag community. Put a tobacco barn, but where the roof line is, put some solar panels or some little squares with a cable going to a pole or a light tower to signify the new technology of ag phonics, ag. Well, there's all kinds of verbiage, I guess, nowadays of ag with solar out there. And it's maybe fitting that our member, Betsy Speeder, has solar on her stable. And then we have the Swazowski Farms here, have 2 tobacco barns that have solar panels on there also, along with their warehouses. So it's new technology with the old. The town of Gill has both photographs of different areas of town on their signs, wherever they are, and also an artist's ambition of the old days of a team of oxen and the yoke and the tether that the farmer is wearing, holding and wearing that type of clothing of that era. Northfield has pictures of their areas where the signage, if you go up 63 before Northfield Mountain Recreation Area, there's a sign just before there, and there is a picture of a farm setting depicted from that area. If you're on Warwick Road, there's one from that area. If you're coming in from Winchester, there's one from that end. And if you're on the west side of Route 63, there's also pictures. So the various topics to go, and we're studying all these. We're trying to get funding through some various sources, vendors that supply the farmers, maybe financial institutions that help the farming community at a regional. So we're trying to get the attention out there that farming community here, Northfield anywhere, they had an accident 2 years ago with a truck and a car. They have a lot of tractors. Tobacco farming just started recently. Tractors with tobacco wagons, they're going to be venturing down. Horses, you're looking at your DOT renewal licenses, you have the signage that says 4 foot move over. Not only bicycles, skateboarders, parents with strollers. So we need to be very careful about traveling back and forth.
Let me just to back up a little bit. So these signs that identify us as a right to farm community. They're not a safety sign. They're just identifying us. So they're not designed to.
No, not to, but just to look.
But, and so where are they located typically? At the entrances to town? So I know there's always been one on Elm Street, right? I don't know.
No, it's just a tractor operator.
Just a tractor out.
Yeah.
So how many signs are you suggesting we end up with?
Member Max, he says 4 should be sufficient. Okay. 2 on the state highway, 1 at the Whately line on River Road, and 1 at the Elm Street, say that area there.
So what the next step is to design what the sign looks like?
We've talked to 1 printer. He's had a lot of experience working with local sign painters from Hatfield area. Won't mention names, but if you had your cars pinstriped or lettered or your trucks and everything like that, these gentlemen have done the signs and painting.
But they probably have to be to some kind of highway spec, right? Especially if they're going to be out on 5 and 10. So we're not going to have somebody personally make these. We're going to have to, if they're going to be on 5 and 10, we have to go through this.
I was just going to say Mass DOT.
You have to go through Mass
that.
DOT. You can't just.
Yeah, this is what we're trying to find out. I won't say, if that's the proper way to do things, which I won't say, but I think that's the proper way to do it.
Marlene would have a contact at Mass DOT that you could talk. They have a whole sign division.
Yeah, that's what I said to one person. I said, don't.
My feeling on this, honestly, John, is to keep these signs very simple.
Yep.
I like the simple tractor graphic that just says Hatfield, a right to farm community. I don't think we need to get into too much else. I think that says it all. And but we do have to make sure that the signs are to the specifications that DOT will require if we're going to if we need to put them out on 5 and 10. It's a little different if they're on River Road or even the one on Elm Street,
I know.
but they should all be the same, and
Same.
they're all gonna have to be to probably DOT specifications.
That's what I meant.
So I wouldn't spend too much time trying to design stuff and find people to design stuff.
Yeah.
The next step is to talk with DOT.
Yeah. Because that's what I said, didn't want to wind up in the boneyard up on South Deerfield on 116. Yeah, well, it's, hey, expensive signage, you don't want to wind up over there.
So,
that's-
yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I appreciate that you're, that the Ag Commission is taking this up, and I would suggest that's your next move. And Matt, I would say it might even be Matt, right? Minihan, yeah. So Marlene can put you in touch.
Actually, I'm sorry, that gentleman you mentioned this morning, that is the gentleman I have been communicating with is Matt Bartlett
Oh, Matt Bartlett.
at DOT District 2.
Okay. Well, in any case, we'll figure out who it is at DOT and take it from there. So.
Sounds good.
Okay, so did you want to touch on this old community preservation project?
Well, when we had our last meeting as a committee with community preservation, John Brooks, now retired, part of the entire program from beginning to present. And one is the Mill River Bridge walking path. And I'm just bringing this up because I've had people come to me and say, what's being done? I don't know, just that the project is out there. It's why isn't it moving forward? We had visitors here at our town meeting back in May, and their names are Chris and Alan Martone. Chris is from Hatfield. Her maiden name was Shalvusky. That was Henry and Josephine Shalvusky's middle daughter. They were staying at the old mill, and they visited our town meeting. And they were very impressed that it's, how can you say it? It was very well organized, and everything was compared to their community that they live in Rhode Island. So it's like, I think, to the entire board and it's all the members up there, and I think to Mr. Basil as our moderator for being a well run. But she says that what's going on with the bridge? She says it looks like overgrown, fences dilapidated and everything like that. And it is a nice area. They've stayed there a few different times. So it's like a project that I think should move forward. Why? Bringing up an old town administrator. Miss Marlene is going to be joining pretty soon. William Zish. He was a town administrator, I think, before 9/11. He was retired and he went back in. He made up a proposal to string a cable across and hang the American flag, which at that time, before 9/11, well, American flag is American flag. It's still a beautiful sign of our freedom. But it never got to fruition. I think it should be a project to move forward since our 250th celebration of our founding in our country is going to come up in 2026. There's a lot of things going on at the state, federal, and local levels. And it would be a nice, how can you say it? A lot of people walk by, stop, and if this walking path could be incorporated, clean up of that area. Community involvement. Marlene knows about the comprehensive planning. A lot of talk about what brings people to this community to visit, to live, etc. Walking around, hey, got a beautiful pavilion now. That could be just an added loop. There's sidewalks on both ways.
So, I mean, I think everybody's in agreement that it would probably be a nice addition to town. Of course, it would be extremely expensive. I would have to go through CPA. Dave is raising his hand because he's the keeper of the capital plan back there.
It's on the capital plan. It has been on the
It is.
capital plan for a number of years.
Yeah.
It's currently projected about $675,000 to fix or replace that bridge. It is, from what I understand, it is one of those shovel-ready projects if something were to ever come up to get funding. I know Phil, a couple of years ago, tried to get some funding for that.
Right.
And it didn't go through.
Right.
So it's not lost, it's not forgotten, it's still there, it's still in front of people. So don't, John, I don't want you to think
Yeah.
that people have forgotten about
No.
it, because we have it on the capital pit and keep it on there every single year, so.
Yeah.
If stuff comes up, and I know Phil keeps an eye out for
Yeah.
possible funding sources.
Community Preservation Commission allocated money for that project a number of years ago. And
But not
some of the money was
Not
spent.
$600,000.
No,
And I suspect it may actually be more than six.
Yeah,
It's been on the plan at that dollar
I can
amount.
remember when it first went on, it was around 400,000.
when we put it out to bid, yes, it came in like $200,000 more than what we had anticipated.
Yeah. So capital planning talks about it and community preservation talks about it. It's just a matter, to David's point.
But if it's something that the community supports, there's additional groups that would say, not going to make this into the Bridge of Flowers like Sheldon Falls and their little niche community over there, but a garden group, put flower boxes on there, things of that nature.
Oh, there's limitless possibilities once the project is done. It's just
Limited
getting to the
possibilities.
point of.
Get the art students, because I know the art students did a fantastic job on making some animal murals for the Three County Fair Association. And they could do up some New Jersey barriers and paint them up on both sides, put handprints, mosaics, like at the elementary school, and kids could come back as adults 20, 30 years, hey, those are my handprints, things, it's things that could get things working. And there's, at the state level, not only ag tourism, but the travel and tourism, that they could, hey, we got voices, our state legislators and senators, push. We had projects, Marlene was saying, was it $14 million in projects and only $4 million for certain that were allocated? I think that was it the pond project or something?
Oh, for Day Pond?
Yeah.
Day Pond restoration?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like, there's a lot of good projects. If we can just put this up at the top.
Yeah.
Community
preservation did fund part of it.
I'm curious, I've always been curious about the 700,000 because of the fact that, like, the military has these bridges. That they can go right across, and whether that could be used, because you can get a surplus one for $100,000 online, or some other option, whether the bridges that they're putting across 91, what do they do with those temporary bridges that would fit right in there for a walking path? Because we're not talking cars.
No, you're not talking cars.
So I always wondered if there was other options in order to secure a walking path across the bridge without redoing the whole bridge
thing.
over.
Yeah.
So
gotta start looking at.
so I can't tell you.
Well, I brought this up because of some young fellows I met a while back. They were fishing out in their yard and says, what are you fishing for? Well, we caught some fish. You want to see it, John? So they showed some pictures of a rainbow trout they caught below the dam and a largemouth bass. Ms. Zino, you have older kids that go fishing a lot and everything like that. And it's like, that's where you learn and to continue on throughout their adult life. And it's,
But we're all in agreement.
Yeah, so, we're obviously not going to be able to make any progress on this, so I appreciate you weighing in on it. And I just want to assure you that it is something that gets discussed at capital planning, and I am 100% sure it gets discussed at community preservation.
Because just a lone member of the preservation.
But
yeah, it's like there's projects that come in that look good on paper, but then when you send them back to finalize, they don't, and it's like the monies are sitting there, and if we could.
Yeah, I mean, like everything, John, it's a balancing act of prioritizing, things like that would be nice to have with things like freezers at school and, so. We do.
But if there's like surplus equipment that's just being, I can say, wasted or sitting, idle in some parking lot somewhere that could be utilized, that's putting our monies that's already been spent,
Well, I'm just saying, if there's a bridge engineer out there, maybe there's another option we could go by and they could give us some information.
But it opened that area up,
Listening out there.
so
It would be lovely.
Yeah, it would be-
I think
Yeah.
everybody in this room agrees, and probably
So-
most people who will watch this meeting agree, so.
So-
Hopefully we'll get there someday. So we do have some other agenda items to get to, John, so
Okay.
I
All
always
right,
appreciate
no,
you
thank
coming
you,
in.
yeah, but definitely keep that on the
Yeah.
burner, you know.
Yep.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, John, very much.
Thank you, David.
Okay, so we are going to go to the appointments and resignations. So we have received Kyle Scott's resignation from the Redevelopment Authority.
Yes.
So we need to accept that.
I'll make a motion to accept Kyle Scott's resignation from the redevelopment authority with regret.
Second that.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
And I'd just like
We
to,
thank Kyle for the time
Yes.
he did spend on that.
I did receive from the Redevelopment Authority, Secretary Christopher Smith at the Redevelopment Authority, at a meeting on June 24th, has made a decision not to fill the position. And the town clerk also received a copy of it.
Can they do that?
Yes, so because this is an elected position, so, you know, the redevelopment authority and the select board are notified of the vacancy, and
So it'll stay vacant until.
so it'll
next
stay
election?
vacant until next May. Mhm. So, yeah, they'd like to, not fill the unexpired term,
Why?
where they didn't give a reason.
Is it up to them?
It is up to the board or committee, whether they notify the select board whether they'd like to have the position filled or not. And if they wish to have it filled, then the select board would vote to post the position.
Okay. Okay, that seems odd. So like a planning board, if there was a vacancy, they could
they
elect to keep a vacancy.
Generally, if it's like, say, a month before the election,
Right, I mean, this
election,
is almost a full year.
you probably would not fill it. But yes, I was surprised that for
I mean, I
the,
don't know why.
for the length
What
of
would be the
time,
reasoning for that?
I don't know.
Because
So
now you're
this-
going to have an even number of people on that board.
Yeah. This was, the officers voted was Larry Grossman, Jenna Poshik, and Christopher Smith. Jenna Poshik is the chair now. I'm just going to say Larry's the chair. But
Well,
she-
maybe we could invite
I
them
mean, he is
into a
the-
meeting coming up to explain why they don't want to.
No, Larry is still the chair. Yes, be glad to do that.
I mean, it's almost a full year.
Hmm.
Seems odd to me. So maybe if Jen is the chair currently,
Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's Larry Grossman who is the chair, not Jenna.
okay, well, maybe Larry could come in. I don't think we all,
Okay. Me too.
I mean, all of them are welcome. And then we did receive the, we will take this up formally another time, but we did receive the resignation of our veterans officer, who was just appointed, and we're sorry about that. So, which means that that position is now open again. So if there's anyone interested, you have to be a veteran, correct?
Correct.
So if there is a veteran
With honorable
interested
discharge.
with honorable discharge, if there is someone out there who might be interested in serving as a veterans agent, and, you know, assisting some of the veterans with some of the benefits and whatnot, please let us know. In the meantime, we're just going to continue having Northampton.
Northampton has agreed to continue.
And, you know, we're really grateful to have Northampton be able to step in and make sure that all of the veterans who need the services and the benefits are getting them, but it would be so nice,
Oh, yeah,
you know, to have someone from
Someone.
town, so
it
hopefully,
would.
maybe there's someone out there. Anything else under appointments and resignations?
We received notice for the Housing Authority. So Kyle was on the Redevelopment Authority and also had submitted his resignation several weeks ago from the Housing Authority. And we received notice from the Housing Authority, the board, Housing Authority Board that they do wish to have the vacancy filled.
I would hope so.
So the board just needs to acknowledge that and will post that position.
Okay. So officially acknowledge it with a vote or just acknowledge that we are in receipt? Okay.
Yeah, just to acknowledge that you're in receipt of it, which,
And again, really putting a call out to residents who might want to be on the Housing Authority, the Hatfield Housing Authority. This group really oversees, what's happening at Capewalk. It's really important service to town, and so hopefully there might be somebody out there interested in doing that.
so then later when, hopefully there will be some applicants, the Select Board and Housing Authority will meet jointly to vote to appoint someone to the position.
DPW report, I know that Phil had a family obligation.
Yeah.
So are you able
The
to?
stormwater and drinking water asset management plans I was going to speak to anyway. So these plans are similar to the sewer asset management plan that the board voted a few weeks ago.
Yep.
So we just need, there's a couple of pages. So I'm going to be the representative to sign. The select board needs to vote to authorize the town administrator to act on behalf of the town to file applications and execute agreements or grants for loan assistance, just as you did with the sewer.
So we only have 2 out of the 3 that voted on the town.
There were 3, stormwater, drinking water, and sewer.
We already
And
did one.
you already did the sewer.
Yep.
Now there's 2 here, stormwater and drinking water.
Right, we did the other one.
Okay, we've done the other.
We did the sewer a few weeks ago.
All right, good.
So you're just looking for a motion to allow you to be the contact on this?
Yes, to name the town administrator, and of course that will change in the future, but it's the position.
Don't remind me.
So it's the position.
All right, I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
To approve the stormwater and drinking water assessment management plan, SRF loan application, and authorize the town administrator to act on behalf of the town of Hatfield to file applications and execute agreements for grant and/or loan assistance.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, Marlene, on this sign here, there's no place to sign.
What are you looking at?
I am on the first one,
To say-
on the first sign here tab,
Okay,
it says, at the top, it says authority to file.
right, so I will fill that in, but I just wanted to flag that so that you understand, the board understands what you're
Oh, okay,
authorizing.
it says sign here, that's all I just, okay.
Yeah, so I will fill that in, and then if you go to the next page, it says certifying statement,
Yep, that one I've got.
that one you do need to sign.
I've signed that. And then the final page.
And then the other one, the last one is the engineering agreement with DPC.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so that agreement is
Both of
fully
them.
executed.
Okay. And Greg, your motion was for both of them, the stormwater and water, right?
Yes.
Did I actually do the full vote on that? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Oh,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Marlene, so I have fully executed them.
okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Franklin County Solid Waste Management MOU regarding hauling and disposal of sludge.
This is an annual MOU
Yep.
that the select board authorizes. And I am pretty certain this price has increased, and this will require a vote of the board and signatures from all three of you.
I will make a motion that we sign the memorandum of understanding by and between the Franklin County Solid Waste Management District and the town of Hatfield regarding hauling and disposal of sludge.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Such exciting things here tonight, Dave. Sludge. Actually, are there 2 copies of it, Marlene?
2 copies of
There's 2 copies of this. Looks like
the Franklin,
the MOU.
the MOU. Oh, yes, there are 2, because we keep one and we send them one. Sorry about that.
I did do a lot of, they sent a lot of signatures on all the cooperative purchasing.
Oh, yes, you did receive
and so
those, okay,
They send those to me via email and I just electronically sign.
great,
So
thank you.
That's all been moving along. Okay, personnel forms.
Yes, DPW director is submitting 2 personnel forms, both are for new hires, Robert Cernak as a laborer, and Caden, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah, I don't know
Tamaki?
I don't know. Latamaki?
Yeah. So Robert
We
Cernak.
apologize, Kaden. We are probably not getting that right.
Robert Cernak, actually, he was a seasonal employee
I know,
with the town
I
for a
was
while,
just
and
gonna
now
say
he's,
that.
yes.
Yeah, that's nice, I
so
like that.
he will be full-time in the highway department. And Katie is hired as a wastewater operator in training, and this was part of the wastewater's operating budget
Which
for
is
the new year.
really so fantastic
Mhm.
because people who can operate these plants are few and far between. So it's great for Hatfield, but it's a great opportunity for Keenan as well. So we don't vote those, we just sign them?
You do vote, yes.
Oh, we do,
Yeah,
okay, so
vote
I'll
too.
take a motion on Caden.
I'll make a motion to approve personnel form new hire for Caden Letamaki.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion to approve personnel form new hire for Robert Cernak.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. I did have a quick conversation with Gary. He said he was so happy with the new hires and
He is.
so this is really a good thing and I just love that Robert's.
He's an excellent
Yeah,
employee.
he's just amazing.
He is.
Okay, perfect. All right. We are moving right along here. So request from Phil Genovese to carry over time. I thought that these are supposed to be done by the end of the fiscal year.
They are. So yeah, this, I guess, came up unexpected and I actually talked to Phil. So vacation time that was authorized to carry over last year after July 1 did get used by December 31st as he was requested by the board. So this would be time that he has accrued in.
This is 100 hours in addition to the 2 weeks.
And I did verify that with him as well. So the $100 is $100. The 100 hours is in addition to the 2 weeks that you're authorized to, departments or employees, I should say, are authorized to carry over.
I'm just trying to understand this because, we were pretty firm with other requests. One request was very small and reasonable because of staffing issues. And then the other person, we denied the request because there was really no compelling reason to do this. I mean, it says, I had to wait until the end of the fiscal year due to a family member with a health diagnosis. I did not know if time off would be required at this time to help with his care, but that means he waited till the end of the fiscal year before, again, it's like it's been, I mean, I'm sympathetic to this,
I
But
mean,
it means that there was no plan to use this time before the end of the fiscal year, which we were so clear about
right,
last year. Like, we can't keep
right.
doing this.
I mean,
I think that this one is also one that represents a challenge for us.
it's unfortunate and
Sorry,
sad for the
breaking
family.
chairs.
But, you know, I also, I mean, there's 4 personal days that are given in a year. Perhaps he might be able to use some of his personal time. It's just a suggestion, but, and he is able to carry over 80 hours, which, you know, he is doing already. So I don't know how much time he.
And the request didn't come in by the end of, I mean, this says June 27th, but he knows our meeting schedule. We weren't going to have a meeting between June 27th and June 30th to decide on this. I mean, I hate to be like this, but at some point we've got to stop this constant carryover for everything.
He realized, I explained to him the board was meeting until July.
Which presents a problem because we're supposed to make the decisions before the end of the fiscal year. So from a timing standpoint alone, this shouldn't be granted. And then, I mean, the fact that time wasn't spent, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I'm following you, yeah.
I just want, since we're on the subject, if somebody retires, what percentage of sick time do they get?
I'm sorry, ask that again. What percentage
If
is
somebody
sick?
retires and they have a bunch of sick time, do they get like a percentage?
Yes, per the employee employment management contract, it's 25%.
25%. So
Of sick.
I'm wondering
Of sick,
if we do like other places, when vacation goes over, returns on the sick time, whether that's more, if that gives a message to people to use their vacation time, because if they don't return on the sick time, and if they save their sick time and cash it in, they're only going to get 25% of it.
Right.
But sick time can roll over in any amount.
Yes, it does.
So
yes,
that,
it does
I mean, you
roll
could
over.
really get into a situation where you have an employee with a ton of sick time
Yeah.
at, you know, retirement time. And that's a discussion for another time. Like, that's a whole, I would be happy to discuss it at some point. But I mean, I think it's kind of outside of, I don't know, Greg, if you want to, do you have any thoughts on this?
I don't think it's a good idea, and I don't know, I have trouble with the managers and departments can't control the time. The rest of the employees seem to be able to do this. There's a lot more of them.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a new year, so.
I know.
The other thought or idea that's sort of being tossed around is employees who have accrued or have an abundance of sick time that maybe they could donate it. It would go into like a
sick bank.
A sick bank, exactly.
I like that
people,
idea and I like your idea. They're both good ideas.
That, you know, for people in, depending on their situation and if they don't have sufficient time.
So a lot of places do that, so that if there's someone who has, for some reason, you know, need for extended time off, there's a way to tap into that bank with approval and all that. I mean, I hate to see time just vanish into thin air, so I think to your point, that's very much worth discussing, and so is a sick bank. But again, both of those are outside of, you know, tonight's discussion. And I hate to say no to Phil, and this is a, you know, very sad situation, but I'm not sure. It's past June 30th, and it looks like there was no plan to use this time. If this request came in June 27th, that means that 100 hours was sitting there with no plan to take it. And again, we have been trying to send the message loud and clear, don't do this. No more carrying over. And we were firm with another employee. So you know, the work-related situations we had, I think were a little bit different. But, so I'm, you know, I don't, just like with Kyle's, I feel terrible about it. I don't feel good about this. It is awful. But we've been so clear. for a couple of years
Yeah,
and still been lenient with these requests, but it's got to stop at some point.
it does, yeah.
Plus he has 3 backups.
Right, and very much like Kyle's request, it came in so late that then there wasn't a chance
Yeah.
for us to say,
Mhm.
you know, we're not going to approve it, so now you have time to take it.
Right.
I mean, a couple of months ago, he had to know that he had all this time banked up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
as much as it pains me to say it, I'm not inclined to approve. That's just me. I'm, you know, happy to have my colleagues weigh in. Do we need to actually deny it, or do we
Yes.
just not approve it?
Yeah, just say you're not going to approve it.
I mean, I'll make a motion to deny the request for vacation carryover. And again, I just want to say, I don't like doing it.
I don't like, because we've been doing this for years, and we've been telling people to do it. I don't like when somebody from management puts us in this position last minute. It's not fair to us. So I will second that.
Greg already did.
Yeah. A motion seconded and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And we do wish Bill and his family members well. All right. Marlene, your report.
Okay, I expected to have all the documents for the solar project at the elementary school. And then last week, middle of the week, Wednesday or Thursday, I received modified documents from the solar company. So I just had a chance to start reviewing them today, and I forwarded them last week to Tom Mullen. Tom Mullen had already reviewed the original documents. So I am following up with Attorney Mullen to review. Everything appears to.
This is not the roof project.
This is the solar roof project at the elementary school.
But didn't we have to wait for some kind of grant or something?
That is separate from what the town is. So the town voted to authorize the town and the school to enter into a power purchase agreement.
I thought it was authorizing them to apply for a grant that would do a solar project, and if it was approved, they would get a whole new roof.
Well, I know they are applying for a grant, but this is just agreements to lease the project to the solar company, and the agreements also authorize the town to enter into to grant an easement to Eversource, because they will have to access
Okay,
town's
so
utilities and property.
I'm confused. Why are we I mean, I thought that all that discussion at town meeting was,
Is,
it was something
is it
different.
contingent on,
It was,
On
I
the
thought that
grant?
we were applying for a grant to get solar on the roof.
correct,
And if we got it, we would get a new roof. That it wasn't, we weren't leasing the solar, this was a grant to do the whole thing.
okay, my understanding is the grant is to have the roof replaced with the incentive of the solar being added to the roof,
Right, but how are we adding the solar if we don't have the roof?
the new roof. Correct, that's a very good question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't
it
have the
seems
new
like
roof yet.
something's out of order here.
I see where you're going now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the light bulb just went
So
off.
could we just get some clarification from the school department? Because I don't want to enter into a,
I will
lease
do that,
agreement?
yeah.
we don't know what's happening.
Yeah, because I don't understand how they could even
That's what I'm
begin the
saying.
project until the
Wouldn't-
roof is.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
let's.
Yeah, because somehow they explained it as being all
Yeah.
together.
Don't forget.
Right, they
looked at
did.
that. They were looking at, the school department was looking at that grant where they were gonna get the roof place and the.
That's what we're talking about.
Right, right.
All together, exactly.
That's what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why are we entering into a
The
solar
solar
lease?
company wants to enter into agreement with the town to lease for the power
But we
purchase.
haven't gotten any commitment on the roof yet.
I
Yeah,
have
so
not heard
It's a
anything.
blessing that the documents aren't here because
Yes,
we can
you're
get
right.
clarification from the school department in the meantime.
You're right.
Okay,
Okay. And the next item is authorization from the select board to approve a rate increase for executive assistant Karen Broder. And this was authorized pre the approval of the FY25 budget.
Yep.
Well deserved.
very
well
well
deserved.
deserved.
I want to keep her around.
She's wonderful. So
I'll make a motion to approve the wage salary rate adjustment request for Karen Broder.
Broder. Thank you.
the motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And then we have an employee reclassification, Michael Mazulis.
From fire chief. You don't have to vote that. It's just signing.
We just signed.
Okay, so Michael was previously the full-time firefighter EMT, and he is, the fire chief had indicated that he would stay on as a per diem, so he must have, I thought he already was, but apparently he's not. So he's reclassifying.
So wait a minute, he's going from per diem to full-time. Says, I reclassified him from per diem to
To
full-time
firefighter.
paramedic.
Oh, I thought that's firefighter paramedic.
Yes, firefighter
Yeah,
paramedic.
but he's, oh, from per diem firefighter EMT to a paramedic. So he's still per diem. He's just now received his paramedic certification.
Oh, so,
So
okay,
that's-
so it's from
Yeah.
per diem full firefighter EMT to per diem.
Firefighter paramedic,
Okay, I was reading
correct.
firefighter
was
as
too, right.
full-time
Yeah.
instead of, sorry.
Yeah. So that's a rate increase for him.
Okay.
And that
That's
is
not-
appreciated that he
that's not-
now
was-
has.
There was a police officer with a similar name, right? That's not the same guy. Who am I thinking of? I can picture him. He's not an
Full-time police
officer anymore.
officer? I can't,
Okay, doesn't matter. I think it's a different person.
okay.
Great. Okay. Topic 10, is that, should we discuss that with finance committee as
Yes,
well as,
Ken. Mhm. The
as
capital
well as the
project,
budget?
Mhm.
We are ready. Come on down.
We go home now?
Mhm.
We can make this quick.
Not so fast there.
Good to see you. Smaller crew tonight.
Yes.
Well, happy summer, finance committee. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, in the new fiscal year. Thanks for coming in tonight. So first we have, Marlene, do you want to
Be glad to.
run through the transfers?
I will be glad to. So you have received a current expenditure report as of today. And actually, I received it yesterday, and the accountant sent an updated report this afternoon. Some other warrants have been entered. So actually, overall, I was really surprised. The shortfalls were minimal. Technology had a significant shortfall, which, you know, I was aware, and we're just not funding that budget adequately. Vocational school,
We took care of that at town.
so we did take care of that at town meeting, and I am surprised to see
We're
that
still
here,
short.
unless that is above what we authorized at town meeting. So yes, I did
wonder
not,
if it's just a calculation or, you know, I don't know.
yeah.
I'm
It
just a
certainly
little,
doesn't represent another student or anything. It's kind of an
No.
odd number,
right.
an odd dollar amount.
Yeah, it seems funny, but
Yeah.
it would be worth checking with the
Or it could
accountant
be
at the
from
school.
transportation too, more so than tuition.
It could be, I will check on
It's
that.
not a student for sure.
Yeah, it's not a student.
But it's only
just-
$4,300.
I mean, I don't see a problem with approving it, but I would like clarification on
Yeah.
whether
Yeah, my guess is it's transportation.
it has to be.
Or someone just miscalculated.
Same thing with snow and ice. Didn't we take care of that at town meeting too?
Well, we we authorized 100,000, so I'm inclined to say that this is above that.
It is.
Yeah, that has to be.
For this year.
Right, for the current fiscal year.
But.
No, for the previous fiscal year, it's for FY '24.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
Oh, yeah,
still-
we're in
We're still
25.
dealing with
Yeah.
24, that's why I'm.
Because we go to town meeting in May. we still have another 7 weeks left of potential inputs that comes in.
Does somebody like review snow and ice to see what actually gets put into snow and ice?
Many people.
Yeah.
And then ultimately the auditors.
Because
Mhm.
I certainly got asked that question, and that certainly was
Mhm.
asked extensively by townspeople at town meeting, right? So,
I mean, it's mostly wages.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's most of it. I know
Equipment repairs.
Equipment repairs,
Yeah.
and some of it is gravel or dirt
Mhm.
that they put in before.
I just think it would be helpful to have maybe a more detailed report to let people, I don't know, I was just thinking about it.
I had a long conversation with somebody about this. It's on people's minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the reality of it is, you're just not funding the line.
And that's what I
It's
said,
not
we
that-
can fund the line.
Right, where you want to come.
If you, exactly,
We
yeah.
can absolutely fund the line. You know, the problem is, what if you don't need it?
Right.
What if you fund the line to $150,000 more and we consolidate second grade? And then it turns out, oh, we didn't spend the $150,000.
Right,
Now we have more free cash.
right.
Like, why? You know what I mean? It's not like you have all
But you know
this money.
something, Sean,
Yeah.
what it really boils down to is that, you know, we live this, we understand it, and a lot of people don't. So a lot of the conversations that I had after town meeting, sort of centered around not quite understanding. And we forget that, right, because we just do it, we've been doing it a long time, so we get it. So I actually had somebody propose, and I think it's a good idea, to do some kind of like municipal finance 101 little explanation.
I would love to do it, but will people show up?
Well, I mean,
we
I
have
think it
that
was
whole
something that was
study.
recorded.
But if you
Yeah.
put it on, if it was part of a selectmen's meeting,
Yeah, part
or
of the
select
select
board
board
meeting.
meeting, where we
it's
just
on
went through the
YouTube.
definitions of things, you know, what our funding sources are, what, you know, we could make it, I think it's worth thinking about ahead of next town meeting.
I think it's worth doing a thing on the budget, you know, ahead of town meeting too, but my only problem is I think about the fire study and like 7 people came
Right,
to talk about, you know,
Right.
right.
do we want to spend millions of dollars, you know, like
Right.
nobody bothered to show up.
And then even some of that was sort of open to interpretation. I interpret things a little
Right.
differently than other people do. Anyway, go ahead,
I
sorry.
also
Dave.
think there were some things they said at the top meeting, like, there was salt, all the salt spread one day and it didn't snow. And
Right,
there was, you know, they saw that as waste, okay?
Mhm.
Or they put out the brine, you know, and then it didn't really do anything.
Right.
It was, we all know that winter's a crapshoot as it is.
right.
And so, yeah, you might put out salt someday that you don't use. Okay, well, that's the way it goes, but would you rather us wait till it's too late? And you know, after 4 people have already spun out, hit trees on the side of the road, okay? So I think that was also part of the problem, is that people actually saw stuff that said, why is this out here?
Right. Well, and so we did,
Because
I
it's
did.
not, it wasn't in the middle of the night, like a lot of
And
times.
I did do a follow-up
Yeah.
statement at our next meeting about the previous few fiscal years and how last year actually was pretty low on the
Yeah.
budget side compared to some previous years because we didn't have a very big winter. But it is, Yeah, so there's a few, and again, we could get completely prepared to do all this and nobody raises the question, just like they haven't for decades. But we should always have that information. I think really, though, that the lesson is far beyond snow and ice. The lesson is really helping townspeople understand the budget and sort of a little bit about municipal finance, because it's a little different.
And that idea is an excellent one. And I think even maybe, televising it and putting the presentation on the town's website. It's just
On the
an
website, a
available
link on
resource.
Facebook, like
yeah.
ahead of town meeting. As long as, I think it has to be kept fairly brief, right? Succinct and brief.
Yeah, it's hard. You have to plan it
Municipal
out.
finance in 25 words or less.
It's
right?
really hard because, here's a good example. We had the budget meeting. People came, they asked a whole bunch of questions about the school. Then at town meeting, the same people asked no questions about the school and asked a bunch of questions about snow and ice. So what were they really, you know what I mean? Like they could have asked the questions about snow and ice at the budget meeting as well, but didn't.
Right.
Well,
they reviewed it further, had further questions. I don't know. I mean,
it's just weird because we spent so much time covering the school and then.
Yeah, we did spend a lot of time covering the school. Yeah. Well, and that's how town meeting is, right? You never know.
Yep.
Even on articles and.
Well, that's just an argument about keeping it brief. It's hard to keep it brief because you don't know what the thing is going to be. If you knew what the thing was going to be.
But I don't think it's necessarily about specific lines. It's about how it works. That's what I'm talking about. Sort of how it works, because I had somebody stop me in the grocery store recently and said that she watches all of the meetings. And she said to me, you take the time to explain things, and for the first time I understand, so I want to watch. And I mean, I was very flattered and I took that as a huge compliment, but it sort of made me realize, like, with a little bit of effort, we could put information out for anyone who's looking to understand it.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the snow and ice at town meeting where people were questioning the DPW operation of why do they put dirt down at a certain time? Why do they plow at a certain time? It wasn't so much the money, it was just they had concerns. They had a different opinion on how they would approach the snow issues and stuff. I mean, so I don't know how you can combat two people having a different opinion on operation, you know what I'm saying?
I think it was a red flag too, and a mistake on our part by putting in 100,000 as a round number.
Yeah.
I think that set a lot of people off, and it snowballed to exactly what everybody's saying.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
I tried to explain that because the reality is you're not.
Oh no, I agree.
You're not projecting.
I'm not against the thinking, but like, just thinking like if
These are all the invoices.
if you threw in like 101 and change, like just something an oddball figure, I think it would have.
But we say each year,
But
we
again,
don't
I
know
think-
what the conversation is gonna be, or what the topic is gonna be at town meeting, and we always get caught off guard, because we never saw that one coming.
I think you're 100% right that did trigger it.
That did.
But my concern would be that if you put in $102,000.37.
You can't back it up with anything.
Well, right, you
It's
can't
still a
back it up with
projection.
anything, and then someone's gonna be like,
It is.
why do you have that?
So I think it's more like just explaining that it's a projection. I think that what really part of what started it was also the perception that it's just, overspent, sort of like, crazy overspent.
There goes the DPW again, spending money.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that, right? If you look at it on paper, that is how it looks.
Personal with certain
And I
people,
think to some extent it
with
was
some people
was
who are
personal.
the
Just
DPW.
like when people bring up the school or bring up other departments, sometimes it is.
Well, right, it's the same, the same thing sort of came up with the school in the prior meeting, which was like, well, they have to live within their budget. Which is a really weird thing to say when you're sitting there creating the budget at that moment.
Right.
Like, what does that mean? Obviously they don't overspend their budget. You know what I mean? Like, really? So what does that even mean? Like, so do you have something in mind that is the appropriate budget? Like, what is that? Like, I don't even, that's not even a thing that makes sense when you're at the place we were at, which is This is when we're deciding what the budget is.
Well, and people are, passionate about different departments or, really
Yeah.
not passionate about other ones. And that's just how it is. But I guess I think that a little bit of just basic explanation of how things work, and maybe even a little, some kind of handout, a 1 or 2 page that has some definitions, like what does free cash mean? What does, some of those things.
Oh, that's-
I think we could do better.
And we try to do that with like all the, in order to head it off, because it used to be that what people did when one particular person did is go through the difference lines and pick out anything that was like a difference and say, why is that different?
Right.
So that's why I started writing the letter that said, here's the major differences. 'Cause a lot of times they're only 3 or 4 things, they're
Right.
not like half the line items or more are the same as they were last year. There's not that much, it was $47.82 for the dog licenses last year, and it's the same this year.
And I mean, to be fair, people, even someone who watched all of our financial meetings, it's confusing, Sean. It is confusing. We are,
It's not like accounting at home.
it's not
It's
like accounting at
municipal
home.
accounting,
You
which is
can kind of
different.
draw you can help people understand it by drawing some comparisons, to home things. It might not be exact, but it gives people an idea of things. But we could do a little bit better job. And so what happens is, I think, and this is a conversation I've had with a few people who, talked to me after the meeting about snow and ice or whatever, is if they don't understand what's happening, they start to feel buffaloed. And certainly that's not what any of us are doing. We work really hard at making sure that people don't feel like that, but we have an obligation to help people understand it. So we should just go into it with that in mind next year, and maybe as we go through the process, put together something that helps people understand. Just give them the information.
But I still get people that come up to me, ask me questions, and I explain it to them, and they say, why don't you tell the town about that? I said, it's been on TV 3 times, we posted it, we printed it.
But let's be honest, we're really not that exciting. I mean, I get it. I get why people don't sit down and watch this all the time, although plenty of people do, and we appreciate those people, but it's not realistic to think.
No.
So that's why if you couple it with a handout for people to come and you can say,
showed up like on the day we were discussing the police budget,
tell them
the
what
fire
an
budget, or
enterprise
whatever.
fund is. I mean, they don't, they may not understand that. It's pretty simple to explain.
Yep.
Even, we use words like bond and, instead of just saying loan. It's so simple to, I think, make it a little bit more clear. So I would like to endeavor to put something like that together ahead of both some type of, something they can watch, but also maybe some type of handout. Yeah. So that, they can understand a little bit better. But anyway, back to the real meeting, the real reason we're together.
Okay.
There's not much here. And
So-
all this is coming out of finance reserve?
Most of it, yes. So I realize I haven't even referenced the amounts, so if I may just back up for a moment quickly. The recommendation, these are recommendations from the accountant and myself to transfer $10,674,000 from finance reserve to the technology account.
$10,674.
Right, we're
Yeah.
rounding. The deficit is 10,673. What did I say? I'm sorry.
You said a much larger number.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Okay, from finance reserve, $4,333.26 to vocational school and transportation, which I will check on that. Snow and ice, so $9,103 from finance reserve to the snow and ice budget. $1,837 from finance reserve to street lighting. And $295 from finance reserve to the cemetery. $986.25 from finance committee reserve to the cultural council programming events. Now, a couple of these just just came up to date deficits. Medicare, I was aware of that, and that shortfall is $3,716.22, and that's the recommendation is to fund it from Chapter 32B insurance. From collector advertising, transfer $172.20 to fund collector's salary side. And lastly, to transfer $8,822 to highway, no, I'm sorry, yes.
No, to highway wages.
Yes, from expenses to wages.
Yeah.
Yes.
What accounted for that? Do you know?
I don't know, because I didn't see that yesterday. So after payroll warrants must have been added, a payroll warrant.
So it's from wages to expenses.
No.
No, from expenses to wages.
So I'm just curious why wages are 8,800.
Expenses has a
That's
surplus.
not how we do it on the other ones.
I know, it's just in the wrong order.
They did it,
It's in the column now. So you
Okay.
transfer
Yeah.
from, it's in the right column.
oh, it's in the right.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
blank.
So
Yeah.
a couple of that, most of these, I get it. These things happen. The two that the three, I would like clarification on the VOC.
I will
just
do
what
that.
is.
Just a suggestion, though, if you might want to consider when you vote these year-end transfers, to include that pending the accountant's response. I just can't help but wonder if that's in addition to what was voted at town meeting, because that's snow and ice. Deficit has to be in addition to the 100,000 that was voted, because it was already in deficit by 90-something thousand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's only the 9,100 for the snow and ice.
correct.
Okay, so that one I get. I mean, that's
Yes.
just, things take time to process
Yeah.
through. So I would like a little clarification on VOGED.
Yeah, an explanation for what that is.
I would
for.
also, I'm curious about this. I mean, we have a line that's funded for $25 and they spent over 1,000. Who's spending that money?
Oh, cultural council?
Yeah, the cultural council programming. What is that?
Yeah, I don't, it has to be an expense. So they had $25. It's for supplies, if anything.
Right.
But I mean, so what are they spending $1,000 on?
Concerts.
No, because that's a
They
different,
shouldn't have.
concerts
It
aren't.
feels like that's something you would know.
Aren't
Because-
concerts out of
It's only
the
20
other
bucks.
revolving thing or whatever?
So the cultural council receives a $5,000 annual grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Council. So that money is dispersed to
Right.
People who apply for it. But I
right.
guess I'm just,
So the 20, I have,
a department with a $25 budget who makes $1,000 expenditure, we need to
Yeah.
figure out what that was.
I will check
Yeah,
on that.
I mean,
That is
Well,
a
why-
surprise.
Yeah,
But
why-
if they annually get a grant, wouldn't that be put into their
no, the
budget?
grant is then, it's turned around and like maybe given to Sean
Yeah.
because he's an
Right.
artisan and,
Oh, right.
Right.
yeah, they're
Right.
The grant is-
Directly.
The grant
It's-
is separate from the expense.
yeah, it sort of comes in and goes out to
Yeah.
people who apply for it for.
And they may
Did
even
they
facilitate.
talk to you, then tell you that they were
No.
gonna do this?
They have not notified, well, they did not notify me. They may have notified the accountant, but I'm not aware.
So, and then
wasn't
I would
aware of
like
the situation.
clarification on the DPW wages, how that possibly went
Okay.
over $8,800.
Okay.
Right, because it shouldn't be snow and ice because.
It's not snow and ice,
No.
and
That's regular wages.
They short staffed for a while?
yeah, I know, they're right, exactly, so I'm curious about that.
Well, yeah, were they using summer help,
Overtime?
though?
What's that?
Summer help? Were they really
Well-
short-staffed?
Or could it have been payouts of vacation and things like that
Oh,
over and
oh,
above when
yeah.
people left or
When
retired?
people left.
Oh, that could be,
That'd be my
Yeah.
It would be
that
good
could
to
be,
have that
because they had two
clarification.
employees
That probably
retired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
vacation.
Well, one retired and one left.
Right.
So
Right,
um,
and do you pay out?
Probably paid out
you
vacation
do,
time.
if there any vacation time that's
I
accrued.
bet you that's a good chunk of
that-
And do you pay out 20% of sick time or 80%?
that. For retirement, yes.
Yeah, so,
For
Not if they leave their job.
no,
right?
no,
No,
but
for
for retirement,
retirement.
you pay out 20% of the sick
So,
time.
I mean, I still would like clarification of what that was, but I'm guessing that's probably.
That is, yeah, that
Yeah.
would make sense.
That makes sense.
So Marlene,
Okay.
are you suggesting we vote these, but with the caveats that we would like clarification on those items?
Yes,
Because
please.
these have to be voted by what date?
July 15th is the last day
Oh, yeah,
that
we're
you
not coming
can,
back.
No.
right,
Yeah, Sorry.
yeah, I didn't think so.
So just make the motion pending, an explanation that you're comfortable with.
Okay.
I think it's totally fine to get an explanation. My question just would be, if we don't, are we not gonna pay the bill?
No, we gotta pay the bill.
So
We have
like,
to pay the bill. I mean, we have to pay these bills.
no, I
Right.
know, but like so like, say the cultural council doesn't give you an explanation, what,
Well,
we would not.
they have an obligation to provide an
No, I
explanation.
agree, but I agree they do, but I'm saying like, what
I
are
see
we
what you're
actually saying? What-
Yeah,
At that point, who are they under? Are they under you, the select board?
Cultural council, yeah.
yeah, they are appointed by the.
So at that point, if they don't, you can just
We're
bring
gonna
them in
pull
and
that
talk.
25 bucks.
Absolutely, you could bring them in and say, hey, we want an explanation. I think that's absolutely
I mean,
true.
we could, we're gonna get explanations.
And I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
it's
agree.
fine.
Yeah,
I just,
I agree, we should know what happened there because, I mean, you knew you only had $25. It's not like you
Right.
accidentally spent $1,000.
Right.
Yeah, I
So-
can't imagine what.
But to your point, I mean, no matter what the explanation, we're gonna pay the bill.
We're gonna pay the bill.
You can't not pay the bill.
but I mean, when people overspend like this, there should be an.
Right, my only concern is just making the motion contingent.
We shouldn't make it contingent.
I mean,
That's fine.
we
but-
could say. we
I see
like
what you're
you.
saying, yeah,
You were
right.
Well,
Yeah.
You're right.
we expect an explanation.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they have one too. Like something
I'm sure they all
happened.
have.
Something happened.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
like, yeah, so we would just like to know. So I will take a motion on those, approving those year-end expenses.
We have to do two separate motions?
I
We
think
do
so.
one?
Yes, two separate votes.
Okay, you guys, you go first.
I'll make a motion to approve the FY24 budget deficits and transfer funds as reported and recommended by the accountant.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the FY24 deficits as recommended by the accountant. It's available on the sheet.
Second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay.
It's pretty good, really, compared to what.
Some
In the
years.
past, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Digging out
Yeah.
this and that and going from here to there.
Oh, yeah, we gotta
Yeah.
take out X amount of dollars from this. Oh, there's not
Yeah.
enough.
So, David,
If
do
I
you
may-
guys want to, you're going to talk about the ARPA funding?
I'm only here to listen and help out with whatever you want to do.
What topic 10, update allocated ARPA funds in consideration of other projects, Marlene, what is that?
so Ed had asked for an updated report of what's on the ARPA funds that are unobligated. And so I have provided you with a copy of that. So it looks like based on the accountant's report, you have $33,683 that's available for spending. And then I had also provided in your packet the capital planning committee meeting minutes of June 6th, which they had a follow-up discussion regarding,
The last select board.
right.
Were those the suggestions made during capital planning taken, is that the new balance now with 33 or was
Yes.
that before?
No,
That
we were
Right.
before, yeah, 240.
Yeah, so those are taken out then.
And the board spent money at their last meeting, so they approved, $12,000 for software installation for the fire and EMS.
Well, that was part of our capital plan recommendation.
Right, from the last meeting. Yeah, so it's almost 200,000, about $200,000 that was spent at the last meeting.
Right. Leaving about 33,000.
3,000.
Okay.
Mhm.
Which you have until the end of this year to spend.
Well, and what do you
Until
know?
December
We think we found
31st.
something. We're gonna get to that, and you should stay here and stay sitting down.
Oh, I know what, yeah, you're talking about the culvert.
Yeah, I'm talking about it.
I talked to Daryl, gave him a heads up.
Okay, so capital
It's like
planning, we don't
Ford
really need to, or the ARPA funding, we don't really need to talk about that.
You don't have to spend it tonight, I just wanted to provide that
Prefer we don't
information.
spend it tonight.
Yeah, That's,
Because, let's skip over the
You
course,
mean
like,
the 30,000 or the ones you approved at the last?
no, the ones we approved, I think we have to.
the previous ones that you approved?
Yeah,
Those
the
are on,
flooring and all of that.
yeah, that's all here.
Oh, it's already in
That's-
motion.
It's already in motion. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about the 33,000.
So what's the price tag?
Well, so, and
2,300,000.
If we were to do the box.
yes, I would say, we had, where were they from, Marlene, DER?
DER, Department of Ecological Restoration,
Right.
the Massachusetts agency.
We had two gentlemen from this agency that does oversee a grant program, so just to let me backtrack. The culvert, just north of the sewer treatment plant, it goes under Main Street and basically goes from where Cowbridge, that body of water that feeds in from Hatfield Pond, and it's sort of it's not a mill river.
No,
It's an old oxbow.
Okay,
That's-
That's,
you told me, yeah.
that's an old oxbow that swings all the way around to the river.
and it goes, and it comes up, right, it goes, so the river is on one side and then Yeah.
Water goes
water
both
goes
ways.
under Main Street.
they
That's what I'm trying
join,
to
water
say.
from both
Yeah, it can,
resources
yes.
join
right,
together.
so sometimes when there's overflow, water flows from the Cowbridge area under towards the river, and other times it flows from the river under towards Cowbridge, right? We've all seen it flood on both sides, plenty of times. So, that culvert has,
What is it? It's a 17-foot culvert,
it's
something like
big,
that?
it's real big. We did have a report, from Mass DOT, indicating some problems with it as rust holes. They noticed this, rust holes with buckling, longitudinal cracks, and corrosion along the longitudinal.
This was prior to it collapsing,
This was just in May, yes, just in May.
about 2
But then
weeks
we did
before it
have-
went down.
Yeah,
A collapse, and it created
Perfect
a
timing, huh?
hole in Main Street. It's been, temporarily repaired. So now we realize that the culvert really needs replacing. So Marlene gathered together, select board was out there, these folks from DER, and then Senator Comerford and her chief of staff, Elena, joined us out there. That was it, right?
mhm, and Garrett.
And Garrett, of
Highway
course, Garrett was there. And so we talked about the options for fixing this. There was a gentleman there from EJ Prescott, who said that we can do this, we can do like a slip a new culvert in, it will be, it's a sleeve, it's slightly smaller.
Mhm.
They then pipe concrete in around it to stabilize it. And that could be done right away, to the tune of 350,000.
Which would
actually,
decrease the amount of, which ultimately decreases the amount of water that can transfer back and forth. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's a
I don't
smaller-
think
But at
it's-
the same token, you don't have the ripples,
right.
so you have a smoother
Mm.
water flow.
And it's not significantly smaller. I mean, we're not talking
No,
about,
it's not, right.
Going from 12 feet to 10 feet.
Yeah, so that's an option, although, like Chief DeKoschak and Clint were out there, and they were mentioning too, like, I wonder if they took into consideration that they might have to do something so that equipment could sit there.
Yeah.
I forget what they called it. But the gentleman from EJ Prescott felt about 350,000, and it could be done this construction season. If we try to go with the grant, and if I'm saying anything wrong, just pipe in here. There's a lot of studies that need to be done before you can apply for this grant.
Data analysis.
Yeah, they have to do a river data analysis. They look at pebbles, all kinds of things. Then you would have to apply for the grant.
And there's no guarantee.
No guarantee you're gonna get it, and it's not a grant that has a specific split identified. So it's not like we go into it knowing it'll be a 50-50, and they estimate that the total cost for that to replace just that culvert was probably approaching $2 million.
They have to live with that all that time, the possibility that
We'll have a
open up in the
major
road,
failure of it. So I think in terms of the timing, I don't think that there's there's not an environmental impact. Obviously Garrett's gonna work with the Conservation Commission on this. But I don't think that the slight changing of the size of that culvert is gonna create any kind of environmental impact we need to be concerned with. So the fact that we can do it quicker and much cheaper is probably what we're looking at doing. We still need $350,000 to be able to do it.
Mhm.
You know, Senator Comerford did say that there may be some things we could try to pursue. The problem is we can't do it. If we need to get this done during this construction season, we can't just go, grants aren't in their cycles now. We can't apply for them retroactively. I think we're gonna
And
have to.
by the time we get it, how much is it gonna, how much is it gonna cost then?
Exactly, that's the other
$2.5
problem.
million by the time we get
Yeah.
grant, get it out to bid, start talking about building it 2 years from
Now,
now.
this seems to be no different than if we had that major water main break on 5 and 10 up in the north. That costs $100,000 or $150,000 to fix because of all the equipment you have to bring in and how old that stuff is. I think it's just one of those things. It's like, it is what it is. You're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I lean towards, let's get this done
It's like
sooner
a new
rather than
septic
later.
system,
None of us
build a home,
want,
you're gonna put a new septic
you know,
system.
none of us want Main Street sinking. We don't want the public safety problem that could cause in an acute sense, but we also don't want Main Street shut down. Right.
So EJP, this was the 350,000, was that including construction costs, or was that just the pipe?
No, it was the project.
The whole project.
It was his off the top of his head. So obviously we need to bid this.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have a hard time believing that it would be, I think it'll be more expensive than.
I have a feeling it would be more expensive, but it's,
We included our guys helping out too.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
Garrett
Garrett did
mention
say that there would be portions of it that Hatfield would do.
Would they have to, would they have to close the road while they're doing it?
He did say one lane at a time. Well, you know, there'd be one lane open.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're really just gonna drive that new pipe right through inside the old one, right, and then pour.
You know, and even if there has to be a road closure, okay,
I know.
we'll give plenty of notice.
No, well,
and
and to be perfectly honest, I mean, we were well aware of what was going on, and, the first night going down that way, there were a bunch of cones there, and if you didn't know that there were cones there, I'm surprised that nobody. It was,
Yeah, so
it
we
was
don't want,
pretty
I
wild.
don't think we wanna,
And then the
go
next
there.
morning, I drove by with the tractor, and that little divot in the road was a hole.
Yeah.
It didn't take long.
so.
I don't know if this is a Hail Mary, but I did do some reading when I went home. And there might be something through the Army Corps of Engineers that may or may not help us. I'm not saying they will,
They're,
but.
I'm a
They
little
can-
scared of them.
yeah, it can be tough to work with them. Yeah.
We had big problems at Brook Hollow with Army Corps.
Yeah,
I also reached out today to a representative with the Connecticut River Conservancy, somebody I had met with last year, looking at helping the owners of the dam on Prospect Street. And I thought of it this afternoon when I was letting Daryl know about this, and I thought, oh my God, so I researched their website, and of course their primary concern is the Connecticut River. But I did reach out to the person that, I talked with last year to see if they might have funding available, and I explained the situation, what it would be.
The Army Corps here is having funding for different types of culverts and.
I just wonder if it would mushroom a little bit.
Well, and that's what happened down, if I'm remembering the Brook Hollow thing, where we went to fix that road so you could go across, and then they found a new or some
It was a freshwater plan.
freshwater plan,
right.
and it shut the whole.
It's all coming back
It's
to
all
me.
coming back to me now. It
Yeah.
was one freshwater.
Yeah, let's just put
Yes.
this thing
So-
in before we.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think,
I
so,
remember.
yes.
Oh,
thanks for
yes.
Bringing that up.
Yeah, no, yeah,
It's really punching us in the gut tonight, Darryl.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I think in terms of timeliness and making sure we don't have another sinkhole in that road and end up with a full road closure because we've had something catastrophic there, I think we should put it out to bid.
Yeah.
I mean, we should always
We'll
look
have
for
to-
opportunities, like you're saying, for the Conservancy or whatever, but I don't know what thing
you would have to have
possibly
it,
for funding.
you have to have a special town meeting.
We're gonna have to have a special.
Yeah.
Because this is what I'm, off the top of my head, where you just gotta get a loan for it and then hope you get some grants to help with it. The only other thing is to go into our,
Unless you want to try to, well,
take money out of
Stabilization.
stabilization for it, but those are the possibilities. We don't have free cash certified.
No.
So,
yeah, you could either get a loan or try to get it fixed.
but at that exclusion, we would have to then have a vote.
You'd have to have
I
a
think if you want to get it,
election, yeah, special election.
if you want to have it, if we need to get it done fast, we just have to have
Yeah, I mean, if we have the borrowing capacity, we must.
I can't imagine.
And-
I think
and-
we do.
Yeah,
I think we have a lot of
that's
borrowing capacity
not,
that we don't use.
Yeah. And if we were to do this in the fall, town meeting or election, it's gonna be a tough time because the town clerk's office has
Which
the
gives us time to get
presidential.
more information.
Well, we have time to bid it in the meantime.
Right.
And but I'm talking about an early fall town
No,
meeting
you
because
have
you
to
need
have
this
this-
project done,
you have to do this. in
During
September.
construction season, right.
the special town meeting.
You can't have a special town meeting any later in September because you've got to hopefully get approval by the town.
Right.
And then you've got October and November for a contractor to get it done.
Yeah.
Right? Am I thinking
Yeah.
correctly?
I mean, you can't, it would have to be a September town meeting.
Yeah.
Early September.
Early,
Yeah.
right.
Although I don't know, the construction season might be year round.
Yes. No, that's very true.
We can hope.
But,
I remember we used to stop work on December 15th.
which
because the ground
basically
froze.
means, Marlene,
That doesn't
at our
happen.
August meeting, we need to be ready to set a date for a town meeting and have a warrant ready. Hopefully this would be really the only thing.
But you're gonna put, you're gonna have to get bids back first. Right?
Yes.
So you got-
Yeah, go to bed.
Oh.
But it also, but there is the other, so I think that's how we deal with this one particular culvert. But I do think that maybe working with the folks from DER and maybe looking at if we can get a future grant for some other culverts that are all part of this system, because it really does impact a
Do
lot
we
of
have
the
any
farming
money in
fields.
capital stabilization?
Huh?
Do we have any money in capital stabilization?
We have money in capital
Not the
and in a
regular
regular,
stabilization,
both.
The other one.
Yes, capital does have money. I don't know off the top of my head
Does
how
have some
much.
money.
But I have those
We were-
numbers available for annual town meeting, so I can
Yeah,
just
we were
pull that
putting it
out.
in for.
Because isn't there a bridge in Calvert that's shaky down that way?
Darryl would know better than me. I don't know.
I've not heard any issues. I know the bridge you're talking about.
Because I know it came up at comprehensive committee.
Yeah.
Mike Bartlett brought up.
Well, the bridge is kind of small, but it also
So
floods. So,
that's that part of that system too, that bridge is there to let the water go
yeah,
under.
yeah, because all that water, if you start at the sewer plant, it goes under Cow Bridge, it goes into the pond, and then it actually goes down behind our farm, under Main Street to Lower Bastion, back to the river.
So I think that this program maybe does show some promise for dealing with some other, maybe
Yeah.
other culvert issues along, but it's, in terms of the culvert we're talking about tonight, I think we have to move faster than we could possibly move through that program.
I agree. You're the one.
But it's a good sign to move forward with maybe trying to get some grant money to look at some of the other ones, because it's only a matter of time.
You don't necessarily want to do it. Price project.
No, that would close the road down, like I said. Nothing.
Oh, yeah, it would be a big deal. Big deal.
A lot of traffic going that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So just know that that's happening.
I mean, you could use a little bit of that 33,000 in the ARPA to help supplement it.
Yeah, I mean, if
We
there's a
want it.
capital stabilization, maybe we can cut down, we first have
Right,
to see
the
what
amount.
the bids are, we have to,
Right,
but we,
Yeah, let's hang on to that in case we need it.
right. Yeah, because
but we still have to spend it by December 31st. We do have a plan that we can do that.
We'll probably have a cost over.
it would be easy to, yeah.
If the construction starts before the first of the year, then you can just pay one of the first bills with
With the ARPA funds.
Well, you also have to have any contract for ARPA funds, that, any funds that require a contract has to be in place by December 31st as well.
But this will be.
Right.
This will be.
Right now, we're just going a little hold on that money because
Hopefully you're happy.
we want to make sure
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't know for upstairs, plus moving the collection back over to here.
Yeah.
I mean, those are some expenses that we don't know yet. We don't know what the.
Right, moving. So I'm still on hold. I'm waiting to hear from Historical Commission because apparently they're looking at some options. There's more items that they had wanted to move over here and there isn't the space for it. And because they've collected more items since using the space at them.
Again, I mean, they can't keep.
So they're not gonna be able to
that's
move
okay. We
everything.
can't go down that rabbit hole tonight. But at some point, they also have to pump the brakes and say, we don't have the space, the capacity to take it. Because we can't keep solving the problem. And then, good night,
Good
David.
night, David.
And then the problem just keeps growing. I mean, I understand these are probably all valuable, meaningful things, but again, okay, we can't get into that tonight. But, okay, so August meeting, we'll have to set a special town meeting date. Hopefully we'll be out to bid. Okay.
Yes,
Should
I'm working on the
probably let Bobby know
specifications.
Yes.
that you're,
About that's all, right.
Yeah, make sure he's available.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe he wants to come to the August meeting to, work with us to select a date.
I mean, I just don't see any other, we don't have any other choice.
No, and I mean, honestly, even in September, you're really talking about not the Tuesday after Labor Day, the next Tuesday.
Right.
Because otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, so you literally can almost pick the date right now. It's going to have to be September 10th.
Yeah.
There's.
And the
That's
biggest problem that night would be with that, making sure we get 75 people there for quorum. But this is important.
That's really important.
Well, I guess 75 people don't care about a big hole opening up a main street. I don't either.
Maybe somebody else.
Yeah, that would be
Okay,
helpful.
well, that was a new development.
Well, that's really good transfers though. I mean.
Yeah, I just,
The budgets were pretty tight.
Right, yeah, in the past,
Yeah.
it's like 25, 30 different, finding small amounts here and there to combine together. I mean, this is pretty much all finance reserve.
Yeah.
Right.
the only three that came up that were added since yesterday was the Cultural Council, collector deficit, and highway wages. Those
Be
are the
curious
only
to see
three.
what the cultural council did there.
I know.
Yeah, I am curious
I mean, I
about
just
that.
wonder if it maybe is it's supposed to be going somewhere else. I don't know. It just, because
Yeah,
it's
it
not the
seems a little
concert,
strange.
it's not the concert
No.
stuff.
No.
Do you think you'll have 2 more members soon?
I would hope so. That's
Doesn't have much to do with it.
that's the Bobby deal.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
I'm
you know
sure
what,
he's
maybe
looking.
heading for a special town meeting would
Get that moving.
get that moving.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
Thank
down. Have a great July.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Oh, it's well worth it.
Okay, so the last item is this Forest Legacy.
Yes, so this is a last minute item that came up just a couple of days ago. I received communication from Lee Halls at Kestrel Land Trust, and Kestrel is applying for a Forest Legacy grant. They're applying, to the Forest Legacy program, a grant application. And they are looking at a purchase and sale agreement for 48 acres owned by Longley, the Longley owners. This parcel of land is on Horse Mountain, and it's, I guess, right at the Williamsburg line. And they're interested, Kestrel doesn't see a need to own the property long-term, and reached out to Hatfield to ask if we would like to consider
What's our
owning
interest in
it.
it?
So the interest is to protect it. So we would enter into a conservation restriction, and that it could be used for recreational purposes. So I've reached out to the Conservation Commission, and I let Open Space know. Open Space had found it very interesting and appreciated the information. So the grant, the Forest Legacy grant, would provide 75% of the total project cost, and Kestrel has
When you say project cost, you just mean buying the land.
buying the land, correct.
150
So
acres.
the only cost the town could incur is legal costs, because then we would have to file with the Registry of Deeds.
To own
Right,
a
to
portion
file,
of it.
to own the portion in Hatfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 150 acres on the Williamsburg side and 48 acres on Hatfield side? Am I
Correct.
reading that correctly?
Correct, yes.
And so they
Yes.
want to know if we want to own the 48 acres that are in.
Right, because we already have land up there on Horse Mountain. That's
Is
a
it
conservation
buildable? Is
restriction.
it frontage?
If it's-
No, it's just.
If it's under a conservation restriction, you can't build it.
anyway.
Right. Can't build it. So the letter is the authorization to support this letter is to support their grant application, and basically expressing interest in acquiring the town acquiring.
Why wouldn't we
the
just
land.
let Kestrel on it?
Could.
I mean, what's our interest in owning it? It's already under conservation restriction.
Right, it will be already under
So that
conservation
protects it and
restriction.
keeps it in open space, and
Yeah.
keeps it forest, and,
Right.
why do we need to own it? If Kestrel's willing to buy it, why
Yeah.
can't Kestrel just
Yeah,
keep
the
it?
town just wouldn't own it, and we wouldn't, so if the town were to own it, so now if you want to open it up for recreational purposes, you'd be talking about probably putting in some hiking trails, and it sounds like it's pretty far up, but that's the benefit I see.
Why
is
can't there be hiking trails on the Kestrel?
They could do that.
That's what, I mean, like, that's what I'm really asking, like,
Mhm.
why do we want to own it?
Yeah.
Why would we, why?
Yeah.
Is there, can you think of a reason why we wouldn't just say,
Yeah.
To-
Yeah, they're
it's
interested.
great that they're putting a conservation restriction.
Yeah, they're interested
This is in
to
line with
preserve it.
their
Yeah.
priorities, and they're purchasing it. I mean, I don't know why we would want to own it, right?
I think Kestrel's the experts on that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So.
Yeah, their purpose is they want to see it preserved. You just wouldn't develop homes out there.
All of things that can be accomplished if Kestrel still owns it.
You can. Yeah. My understanding, though, is from that I guess they are looking for a governmental body to submit a letter of support for the grant application. So
That's to
I,
purchase the whole property.
that's for them to
Yeah,
purchase
for
the
them to
property, right?
purchase it.
So the only thing I would modify in this letter, which I added, because the Conservation Commission felt that it should be, the letter should specify the portion of the property in Hatfield, would be to strike out approximately 50 plus minus acres of property on Horse Mountain in Hatfield. So that was added.
Oh, that's agrees to hold the fee.
Hold the
on-
fee, right, so I would, yeah. Project
So you would
proposal.
strike that out?
I would
before-
strike that
And
out.
that's what I'm saying, right? Why would we own
Yes,
it?
if you're not going to, yeah, if you don't have interest in ownership, then that's what I would need to do.
Unless I'm missing something, do you think the town should own it?
Well, if the town owns it, I'm just thinking for future grants for recreation, they could make the hiking trail, right? I mean, if it's Kestrel's property, then we wouldn't have any say on any
Would that,
hiking trail.
would that be a bigger asset to us in any way? In a financial way or grant ways or?
I mean, if there's a conservation restriction on it, somebody still pays taxes on it, right? You still pay taxes on it.
No, I don't know that. Yeah.
I mean, just because there's a conservation restriction on a parcel doesn't mean,
Yeah,
if you own it,
Yeah.
so, I mean, maybe Kestrel doesn't want to have to pay taxes on the land to Hatfield. I can't imagine a ton of money, but
yeah.
and Kestrel opens their land up for recreation. Isn't that kind of why they acquire it?
No, I believe they do. Actually, didn't they just a few years ago, they acquired land in Hatfield and there is a conservation restriction on it.
It says, traditional forest uses, including timber management, as well as hunting, fishing, hiking, and similar recreational uses are consistent with purposes of the FLP, which is the Forest Legacy Program. So it sounds like hiking trails could be up there regardless. I mean, for today, we're just agreeing to support their grant.
Grant, right,
Their grant application.
right,
To acquire the
Right.
property in its
right.
entirety. And then there's a separate issue of if we would want to
Absolutely.
acquire the piece on the Hatfield side.
Yeah, I want to make that very clear,
At this
two
point,
separate.
I would say let's approve this because, you know, this seems like a good purchase.
Mhm.
But I'm curious to know why we want to take possession. Maybe conservation would want to weigh in on why we would want. But did you just say that conservation recommended taking that out?
I communicated with them by email and Brian Williams, member of the Conservation Commission, had responded, but Conservation Commission won't be meeting soon and the deadline for this grant is tomorrow. That's why I added it to the agenda.
So then how come we can't sign it because it has the language in there? If they need it by tomorrow, right?
That is, yeah, that is true.
Unless you want to just print one out without it tonight.
I can do that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we could vote it and then you could print that out
Okay.
after we adjourn and we
Okay.
can stick
Yes, I
around
can
and
do
sign
that.
it.
So tonight we're just voting to approve the preservation of the land. We support them preserving this property.
You know, the board is voting to submit a letter of support on behalf of Kestrel's grant
Grant
application
application.
to support their endeavor.
And we don't even know if they'll get the grant.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess revisiting the proposal for us to acquire the 48 acres after the grant, I'd be open to having the discussion, but I need a little convincing as to why we want to own it.
These are questions for Kestrel too. They
Yeah,
Mhm.
can
Kestrel.
weigh in why they want us to own it.
Mhm.
You know, when I was on the board before, we did a lot of land acquisition of, and, you know, but it was really more aquifer protection and all of that. So I think, you know, in terms of protecting our water supply, we're good, even the runoff, the properties with runoff and all of that. I mean, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will make a motion that we support their grant application and sign this letter, but we will remove the language that says we agree to hold the fee on
Okay.
approximately 50 acres of property on Horse Mountain and Hatfield. So we'll remove that from this,
Mhm.
but then sign it otherwise. And then in
Okay.
terms of so I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then in terms of the other parcels, we can address that at a meeting.
Mhm.
But to sign that tonight.
Yeah, we'll wait. and
Yeah,
sign it
I will get that taken care of right
Do you want
now.
us to adjourn?
Sure, why don't you, because I can stop the recording here
Okay.
and then, yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.